Welcome to Biscuit Boys Interviews on SRB Radio with me, the Gabby Cabby, in association with Griffiths Clothing. Joining me today is one half of two soul brothers whose foundation was set in stone 20 years ago. It's Neil Jones from my favourite band on the planet, Stone Foundation. How are you, mate?
How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. And even better talking to you because, as I've just said, and I know Gabby goes on about lots and lots of things, but you are the greatest band on the planet.
Well, that's very kind of you, mate. That's very kind of you.
Now let's start. Where you're from, your band of brothers, and your influences. You're born in the Good Hope Hospital in Sutton, wasn't you?
That's right, mate. Yeah, all my family's from Acox Green, Ward End. Yeah, my granddad Jones, his family grew up in Ward End down that way. So yeah, I've got some proper Brummy roots in me, that's for certain. And I've spent most of my life growing up in Tamworth, but obviously the family connection has always been massively strong with Birmingham, really.
Now, for anybody that is from Birmingham, you can actually tell by your twang that you are from Tamworth. You can't you?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. There's a little bit of... It's really weird because wherever I go, people obviously say, God, you really got a Brummie accent. And I have to kind of say, well, it's not as strong as some, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because obviously we're sort of a little bit further north, aren't we?
Yeah.
So you've got like the sort of me-ducky kind of thing creeping in over in Tamworth, ain't you? So you've got that sort of little bit of northern twang in there as well. But yeah, I mean... I've probably got a little bit of the dulcet tones from my granddad and that side of the family anyway. But yeah, Tamworth's been all right to me over the years, mate. It's been good growing up there.
Now, the band of brothers, your other soul brother, it's pretty much the two of you that write the songs, Sheesby and Jones. We're going to get on to your wonderful new album, Street Rituals, a little bit later, with another songwriter coming on board, Mr. Paul Weller.
Yeah.
But the other staple members of Stone Foundation is Fordy on drums.
Yeah.
Is Rob Newton, percussion. Yeah. And Ian Arnold on the keys.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, those guys have been absolutely solid over the last... it's probably about 5 years, I think, since Rob joined us, and that became a solid sort of nucleus. But I mean, I have to say as well, on this record in particular, moving forward, it really has felt like a band again, you know, with the 8 of us, the 3 guys that we've got in the section now, Steve Trigg and Dave Boriston on trumpet and Anthony Gaylard on saxophone. Those guys have been absolutely instrumental in pushing the sound forward. And obviously, for the record as well, we had Paul Spear, who used to be in Dexys and Elvis Costello's TKO horns as well. He augmented the section and the lineup for the studio sessions at Paul's place. And obviously, for the bigger gigs, we use Paul to augment the section as well. So, you know, they've really been instrumental in kicking the whole sound forward, you know.
Right, let's get on to Street Rituals then. We're going to fast forward it. You previously settled this argument, because whenever I'm looking at an interview with Stone Foundation, and just for the uneducated, guys, it's Stone Foundation, there's no the.
Yeah, there's no the. I mean, I'm not really that fussed, to be honest, mate. I mean, it's like, you know, as long as people talk about the band and they know who we are and what we're doing, that's the most important thing for me. You know, it doesn't really wind me up that much. You know, it's nice to be talked about. I'd rather people were talking about us the way they are than not talking about us at all. Do you know what I mean? So that's the be all and end all for me, really.
And I'll give people a tip how you get round that. You just say,
go on,
the magnificent Stone Foundation. It's so easy.
Yeah, I guess.
Now, in 2005, your first album was In Our Time.
Yeah.
In 2008, Small Town Soul.
Yeah.
In 2010, Away from the Grain. And then you've done a Three Shades of, which was, I'm guessing, the best of the first three, followed by then To Find the Spirit, Life Unlimited, and Where You Are Now, Street
Yeah.
Rituals. Is
Well,
that the full list?
there's actually a story behind the Three Shades in particular. Was roughly around the time that John Bradbury, God bless his soul, he picked us to support the Specials on their tour. And at the time, we decided that it'd be great to put together a sort of comp album of those first records to kind of be available on the Specials tour. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So that people coming to the band for the first time would get to hear exactly what we were about, you know, and they get the best bits of what the band was about. So that's why we've created that record, really. And I guess it was a best of those early records. But for me, the real kick happened straight after that Specials tour, and then we got into like To Find the Spirit, and we got into A Life Unlimited, and from sort of To Find the Spirit onwards, that's when it felt like, you know, there was no half measures anymore. It was all, for me, it felt like we kind of found ourselves. We'd almost come full circle from making that first record back to like our roots, our kind of soul roots, and the things that really sort of sparked us. And that kind of felt like the beginning for me, almost, in a way, To Find the Spirit.
Yeah, a rebirth, almost a rebrand. And Horace Panther done the two art cover, the sleeves, didn't he, for you on?
Yeah, Horace has been fun. To be honest, all those guys have been so fantastic. I mean, you know, we got on so well with all the lads at the Specials. They're really nice guys. Obviously, Brad was massively instrumental. I always remember him saying to us backstage at Hull Ice Arena, I think it was, he said, like, you know, he said it might not happen at the back of this tour, he said, but eventually people will start twigging what you're all about, and the band will be elevated. He said, I can just see it coming, and I'm just so gutted he's not around now to see, like, obviously the after effects and the legacy of what he sort of really set in motion, you know, and to be working with Paul, you know, he'd be so proud. I know he would. And then obviously people like Linville Golding as well, who's been fantastic with us. Horace, amazing, doing the artwork. He's been a good friend to the band. I mean, I don't know whether you heard about Linville Golding's stage invasion at the Royal Albert Hall, but we supported Paul at the Royal Albert Hall in April, and Linville decided to, he got quite emotional because we've been speaking about Brad and everything prior to what's going on. And he just walked onto the stage, grabbed the mic off me and started telling everyone how much he loved us and how this was real music and you all need to listen to real music. And he went on this big rant and then walked off, and it was lovely. And it was weird because at the time we were all thinking, oh my God, what are we going to do now? But afterwards people actually thought we planned it, which we certainly didn't.
And just as you were singing, your balloon is rising as well.
Yeah, that's right, mate. We were just we were playing that at the time, which I guess was the reason why the sentiment sort of grabbed Linville, and he felt the need to come on and say something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Got to give a shout out as well to Lee, because he's done your documentary and he's done an awful lot of work, artwork, etc.
Oh yeah. Lee's been great. Lee's been fantastic over the years for us. He's done a really wonderful job, and I guess really in the shape of things, like Lee's star's kind of risen, and he's picked up different bits and pieces of work as the band's progressed, really. I mean, I remember him coming into the studio when we were working with Joe Harris, just as like a young kid, just sort of trying to get his hand into different pies, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And we sort of hit it off with Lee, and it's sort of progressed from there with us, really.
And the link to Paul Weller was from A Life Unlimited. And Paul has, because I've been following Paul since the 70s, and Paul has liked you guys for a number of years now. And I think when he heard A Life Unlimited, and Beverly seemed to be that one track that really got into Paul's skin, and then he sent you out a little demo, didn't he, of the
Yeah,
track,
yeah,
and
yeah.
a bit of humming, a bit of piano, and you stone foundationized
Yeah.
the track, and then the rest you just moved very quickly into Black Barn. So
Yeah.
talk me through that process.
Well, I think it actually started from To Find the Spirit. I know that he really liked That's the Way I Want to Live My Life. And then it sort of, I think he just kind of kept an eye on us because we were doing something different to what, you know, most of the bands were doing at that time. And then I think like he just clocked Beverly, thought, love that. And then he obviously sent over this, I just had a phone call off him, to be honest with you, mate. It was really, it was quite surreal. I was kind of tipped off that he was going to call, and he rang up and just basically said, look, you know, I absolutely love what you're doing. He said some lovely things about me personally and my voice, and he said it really reminded him of Felix out of the Young Rascals, and which I thought was an amazing compliment. And then he just said, look, I'm working on this track at the moment. Could I send it over to you? It's just a real rough demo, but I think it might suit you guys. See what you can do with it, and have a go with it. Like, so he sent over this track of him in Black Barn, playing the piano. There was drums and a little bit of bass on there, and that was it really. And he was just kind of hinting at certain little melodic ideas verse wise. And then me and She's kind of ran with it. I know She's came up with all the bridges for that song. And then the real breakthrough for me was I was just in my kitchen and I was working over and over, and I was just thinking, how can I come up with a chorus for this? And most of the times it's when you don't try that it really sort of clicks as a songwriter. And instead of doing the obvious thing and trying to change the chord pattern and move it somewhere else, I just kept the chords exactly the same as they were on the verses and came up with the melody for Limit of a Man, and the idea of the title of the song and what it should be about, really. And funnily enough, the whole concept of it was about my granddad, you know, and him growing up in Birmingham all those years ago, and how that generation seemed to have that kind of etiquette and that stiff upper lip and that that sort of manners that were sort of bred into you as a young kid, you know what I mean? And I was kind of harking back to that when I was talking about Limit of a Man, really. And yeah, it was a wonderful experience. We sent it back to Paul. He loved it, and the next thing you know, he invites us to the studio, and we didn't even go with the idea that we were going to make a record. We just ended up going, playing some stuff. We had some ideas that we took with us and some ideas for songs. And before you know it, we had like 6 or 7 tracks on the desk at Black Barn. And Paul was kind of looking at us going, I think you need to come back and do another session, lads. You've got half a record here. So it just kind of went from there, really.
All great things just come out of jamming and seeing what comes out. And that Black Barn, it is a Weller town. It's a place of magic, and Paul Weller is a musician's musician. You and Paul have got very similar, I'm guessing, kind of backgrounds and music taste as well. I'm guessing that you two talk as much about Stax and Motown and great artists that you both love as much as what you're actually doing now and together. And Paul's works. Paul's got his new album out this year as well, A Kind Revolution. And
yeah,
for me,
which is tremendous.
Yeah, your 2 records are the 2 standout albums of the year.
Well, thanks, mate. Thanks very much for that. That's really kind of you. I mean, like, for me personally, it was an absolute honour to be around at the same time Paul was making his record. You know, it was quite surreal at times because Paul would have his sort of record coming together on the one part of the notice board, and then ours would be literally right next to it. So, you know, I remember Paul at one point going to write in the wrong box and going, I don't know where I am at the moment because there's that much happening. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's just, he was just completely sparking. He's right on it at the moment. He really is sort of, he's almost like watching an indoor firework when you work with him. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's always sparking. He's always got ideas, and he definitely does give it that extra little bit of sparkle when you need it, you know what I mean? And to have him sit in and just be a part of the band was amazing. And I guess the biggest thing of all that's come from it is we've just become really good mates now. You know, I think for me, the lovely thing is, I mean, I still obviously, you know, respect him massively, but I don't look at him like I used to when I first walked through that door and I was like, God, it's Paul Weller, you know, he's just like a mate now who I talk about music, fashion, football, God knows what, we all have a laugh and a joke. He's just like one of the boys, really. He's just a really great geezer.
And that's the thing with musicians. At the end of the day, you are just normal people.
Yeah.
You are, aren't you? You're very talented at what you do, but you are so very normal. And I guess, you know, it's nice at times to talk about normal things because, again, you are normal people living in a normal world. Now, Paul produced the record that's out on 100% record label.
Yeah.
Who decided in what order the records go? Because, again, people think, oh, that's great, but it doesn't just happen where you start off with Back in the Game and then you end up with Simplify the Situation. There's method into putting them records together, isn't there?
I think this record just kind of naturally fell into the order that it ended up being. Really, I don't think there was any, you know, there wasn't really any sort of arguments or anything like that on where it should go. And I think I've still got Paul's initial scribble of what he thought the running order should be, and I don't think it really changed much from that, to be honest. It's it just ended up being what it was, you know.
Whoever put Love Discovered as the third track, going into The Limit of a Man, is a genius. That is genius. Well,
I think for me personally, Love Rediscovered was a wonderful thing that I think we're going to pull that one back out for the Brighton gig that we're doing at the end of this month with Steve White, actually, because I just think, you know what, I mean, obviously Phil plays it incredibly, but it's got that kind of almost jazz element to it, which I think Steve will love playing. But that song in particular is one of the few songs on the record where the vocals that you hear on that song are done in one take, and that was done live in the room with the band. And I'm particularly pleased with that track. I think it's come out really well. We were kind of trying to get that sort of Donny Hathaway kind of vibe on it, you know.
I think every track has come out unbelievably well, and all of the tracks, no more than 2, possibly 3 takes.
Yeah, really that simple. Really, and I think that's what keeps the essence of the song. Is that the essence of the album? Sorry, not the song. Is the fact that we didn't want to overcomplicate things. We really wanted to kind of keep everything really straightforward, get the vibe in the room, and then work from there. And then it's almost like just moulding a sort of a lump of clay then, or a sculpture that you're trying to sort of just chisel away and get the finer details then. But that was really important. We didn't want it to become like a chore, which it never was. It was just us 6 sitting in the room just playing music together, you know.
2 things that I want to get from you now. Reading the sleeve notes. What Paul's sleeve notes are. Filthy Phil's Filthy Lil's cooked brekkie that he
see now you obviously know that was meant to be Phil because you said Phil. Basically what was really lovely, I mean, obviously the first time we turned up at the studio, we kind of all made a bit of a joke about it, but the first thing Paul did while we were bringing in our kit was make everyone a cup of tea. Yeah. And him and Phil have got a very similar kind of sense of humour with things, and I think they obviously warm to each other quite a lot. And then Phil obviously, for some reason, then decided that every morning in the cottage he was going to make everyone bacon butties. So it quickly became Filthy Lil's Cafe. So that's where that little comment's from. It's Phil's breakfast making abilities.
And Paul does like the tea because he is teetotal now, isn't he? He only drinks tea, don't drink alcohol.
Yeah, absolutely teetotal, yeah. And you know what I mean? He's for me personally, looking at him, it reminds me of my dad a bit. I mean, my dad's in really good nick for his age, and Paul's in tremendous fettle for his age. You know what I mean? He's kept himself in good shape, and long may that continue.
Now, Street Rituals, the literally the sound of the streets, was that in Birmingham or was that Fosel Road in Coventry?
Well, funnily enough, you mean the actual
Yeah.
sound? That's actually me walking through the rag market.
Yeah. Okay.
I said to the lads, I think I was in there like a couple of weeks before we recorded it, and for me, that just that place in particular, as a little lad growing up, and we used to obviously catch the train into Brum pretty much every weekend, you know, and I used to spend so much time in the rag market trying to find, you know, when they used to do like the proper sort of 60s, 70s clobber there that you could get, you know. So I used to spend loads of time there, and in my mind, in my head, that was always the place that was like such a melting pot of cultures and people. I thought that's the place. That's where it's got to be. That's where I've got to go. Because I said to Charles, we need to get some street noise, and I said I know exactly the place. So I borrowed one of Lee's little sound recorders, funnily enough, and just spent about 2 hours wandering around the rag market with this recorder, and people must have thought I was nuts, but there was some amazing stuff that we never used, some absolutely brilliant stuff that I recorded of a group of Rasta fellas in the middle of the market, just putting the world to rights, and it was just brilliant. But obviously we sort of condensed it down just to get the essence of what you hear on the record.
You'll always get that in Birmingham. It is a melting pot of opinions.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great place. I mean, you know, it's just a brilliant city.
Yeah.
I've always thought it was a brilliant city. I mean, like, when I went to university when I was younger, and I went to Preston and lived in Preston for a couple of years, and that's a really kind of warm and friendly place, to be fair. And like Birmingham, for me, you know, I don't think it gets more warmer or more friendly. I don't think you can get a better person than a Brummie, to be honest. Yeah. You know, you're always given a warm welcome. It's like going to the deep south in America. When you get to Memphis or you know, Muscle Shoals in Alabama, that's kind of the same kind of feeling I get when I get to Brum. You know, it's like that warmth, and people actually have they have the time of day for you. You know what I mean?
Agreed. And you met, I'm guessing, your hero's relatives on one of the visits, didn't you?
Yeah. That was quite a few years ago, actually. Yeah. We were really fortunate to spend an afternoon with Zelma and Carla Redding, and it was just a wonderful experience, really. We went to Macon, Georgia, and we went to a place called the Big O Foundation, which they run there for for kids, getting kids into music and keeping Otis's legacy alive, you know. And it was just amazing spending time with them, listening to stories. And then they even got us on the guest list to the Otis Redding gallery that was happening at the time at Stax in Memphis. So we had this weird experience of walking up to the guy on the desk and telling him we were on the Redding family's guest list. And yeah, it was quite an amazing time, that was. Yeah, really special.
Another legend of Stax, William Bell, that you got on the album. How easy or difficult was that to get a legend like William on there?
To be honest with you, it wasn't as difficult as what you might think. He played with us at Union Chapel in London, got on really well with him. He heard some of our set, loved it. His manager heard some of our set, really loved it. We got in touch with him, sent him the track. I mean, these people wouldn't do this. I mean, him and Betty Lavette wouldn't sing on our records if they thought the material was not good enough. Do you know what I mean? So it's got to be good enough. These guys have won Grammy Awards. You know what I mean? And he loved the track. And I had this amazing time where I flew out to Atlanta, Georgia, and sat in William Bell's studio listening to him lay down vocals for the track. I mean, we'd have loved it. To be honest with you, we'd have loved it if William had a bit more of a lead part on the track.
Yeah.
But we had this mad moment where I took the track back to Paul's studio, and Paul and Shees were basically arguing with me in the room who they thought was the vocal at the time. And I think because we wanted it to run smoothly throughout the record, that's why we went with my lead vocal for the track, and we used Williams as a backing vocal. But I mean, it's still just amazing to get a man of that stature on your album, you know.
But again, it's not the first legend that you've had on albums and records. Colin Anderson, Andy Fairweather-Low, Nolan Porter, Dr. John, Graham Parker.
Yeah,
you know, that's a wonderful wonderful list.
It's been kind of a thing that we've just kept now as a kind of thread that runs throughout. I think, you know, is this feeling of collaboration. I think it's really important, and it was lovely that obviously the Live Rituals record's coming out on October the 13th, and we used on that night, we had Dr. Robert get up and sing with us. Obviously Paul got up and sang a couple of songs with us. We had a guy called Danny Champ, who's in a brilliant band called Danny and the Champions of the World. He got up. He's an old mate of ours. He used to play in a band called Grand Drive, who were a great band. And yeah, this feeling of collaboration, I think it's important with our releases that we add a little different flavour to the mix every time. We don't want to just make the same records. We always want to like change it up and see where it goes next, you know.
And also you've had, is it 2 number ones in the vinyl charts, Back in the Game and your latest, Simplify the Situation?
Yeah, that's right. That's been really just amazing really this year. I mean, when we were told that we had a number 25 record in the official album charts, I mean, that was just like nuts. I mean, that's overall, you know what I mean? It's mad to get into your head, that really, for a band that, you know, I know we've got our champions on the BBC. There are a few people there, but really, as a band that's kind of spread through word of mouth, through like that sort of social media sort of thing that's been going on over the last however many years, you know, it's just constantly spreading, and it's like you think to yourself, well, we'll just keep doing what we're doing because we're kind of happy with that, and then eventually the place might come to us. If it doesn't, not really that bothered, because we seem to be touching new people all the time, and that means the world to us, you know.
So the surprising thing for you is that you're actually surprised I'm not. That number 20 for me isn't high enough. It should be number 1. You know, I listen to lots and lots, and since we've been doing this project, Chris and I, about 4 or 5 years now, you are without a doubt the best band that I've heard, and the music that you make is the best music that I've ever heard. And I listen to lots and lots of other stuff as well, and I honestly, genuinely, no bullshit, I've never heard any band better than you anywhere on any dial on this planet Earth. That's the truth.
Well, that's really lovely, mate. I mean, for us, we're just music fans. I mean, I've got so many influences and so many people that have spurred me on to do what I do. I mean, like for us, you know, getting to play with Steve White in a couple of weeks' time is an amazing thing. Playing with obviously Paul, then we're supporting Tower of Power as well on a couple of dates, who were just an incredibly influential band to a lot of the guys in Stone Foundation. You know, there's so much to pull from musically that we're always kind of looking around for new things. And I think, you know, there are some really good bands and good artists out there still now that are making great records. It's just a case of digging around for them, you know.
It is, but that's always been my point, and that's why I annoy so many people, especially on social media, because it should be airplay on merit, and I should be hearing records that I hear online on mainstream radio stations, and I'm not hearing them, and it's not because they're not worthy of mainstream, it's just because they're playlisted, and there's so much control, and that's your problem. Breaking that control.
The days of a DJ that plays what he wants to play, to quote a Tom Petty lyric, is they're long gone, really. You know, you'll get the ones late at night who have got their own shows and stuff, you know. But even they're sort of kind of pushed certain records. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, that is just the way of the world, unfortunately. And that's, I guess, for me, what makes our success even more spectacular, in the sense that, you know, we literally have not had that given to us. We've had to scrap all the way for it, you know. I mean, this thing that people come and see, this Stone Foundation package that people come to the gigs and see, there's a lot of hard work goes in behind the scenes on that, you know, from myself and Neil in particular, and then the guys who are like our management team now, and the people behind the scenes. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and each sort of month we kind of surprise ourselves with something. I mean, like the tour at the moment's coming together really well. You know, it looks like we'll have a few more sellouts on that tour, and you know, it just shows that people are willing to come out and spend their hard-earned money, and that in itself means a lot, because we are in quite difficult times right now, and to have people come out to our gigs and spend their hard-earned cash, or spend their hard-earned cash on our records, that is, you know, that means way more than any bloody A-list play on a radio show. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just means that people actually care enough to support us, which is, it's a wonderful thing.
And it's a 16-date British tour, starting on the 12th of October. Briefly read through it: Manchester, Bristol, Liverpool, Birmingham, Glasgow, Newcastle, Stockton on Tees. That's with Diz. That's the Inter tomorrow, boys and girls, in the Georgian Theatre up there.
I don't know whether I've met them guys before. I probably have, and yeah, we've just heard so many good things about those guys in particular, and the theatre there.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to playing Stockton for the first time.
We've been linking up with Diz now for a few years. He sends us a track every week for the Biscuit Boys show. That bloke is an absolute legend. He loves his music. He's a DJ.
Good.
He's one of the best people that we have linked up with. So you got to go and say hello to Diz, because he's an absolute top bloke.
I'm definitely sure we will, yeah.
Hull, Nottingham, Cardiff, London at the Shepherd's Bush, Whitney, Poole and Southend.
Yeah, Whitney is just down the way from Oxford, so anyone who wants to come and see us from Oxford, I mean, it's literally a stone's throw from there, so that'll be really good. Poole as well, that's not far from Portsmouth, I believe.
Yeah, Bournemouth.
Bournemouth way, yeah. So yeah, it's just really exciting. I mean, it's lovely to go to places that we've not been before on this tour, like Hull and Southend. The tickets have been flying out at Southend, which has been quite mad, really, because I'd never have thought to go over to that side of the country and play somewhere like Southend. But it's wonderful. It's great to know that people want us to go there and want to come and see us. And then obviously for me, the lovely aspect is going back to places like Liverpool and Cardiff we've not been to in years, and Birmingham, God, we haven't played there for over 2 years now, and it always feels special to me playing in Brum. Do you know what I mean? Because it almost like it has got that element of coming back home. And I hope in particular those three places people really come out and support the band, especially in Birmingham. It's on a Wednesday night as well, on the 18th, I believe. And I just hope people come out and support the band, because it means then that we could come back to those places and play. Because earlier in the year we were playing like Manchester and Norwich and places like that, and the places were heaving. Yeah. And I just hope now all the Brummies that are listening can turn out for that one at the Academy on the 18th, because I think, you know, it's going to be a really special night. We've got another person that you should check out as well, mate. We've got a great support from a young lad called Jalen Ngonda, who I think me and she's are both tipping for sort of big things in the future. He's a really talented kid. Very, very soulful sort of musician as well. So you've got the bonus of having Jalen on before us as well at all the dates, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I can't wait.
Is that young man following you around the country? Is he on supporting all of your gigs, or most of your gigs?
Yeah, I think the only two he's not doing is Nottingham and Cardiff.
Yeah, okay.
And that's, I think, just down to certain promoters just wanting other people
Yep.
as supports there. That's kind of out of our hands a little. But yeah, just really looking forward to getting out. I mean, I'm starting to go a bit stir crazy at home, to be honest. You know what I mean? I want to get out and start playing.
Now, send us the links to that young man, because what we'll do, we'll play his records on the Biscuit Boys show, and we'll follow him over social media and help him support him, because that's what we do. Then you're going to be going on a European tour. That's all, ready to be sorted out. And then
that's being sorted as we speak, I believe, for next year.
And 2018, you're doing Music Mania with Daz Bradley.
Yeah, we've been approached by a few people already for sort of summer shows next year. So that's all just kind of literally all our stuff now is in the hands of our sort of agent who deals with all that for us. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice to know that people want us to come and play for them so much, So it's just really lovely. It's lovely to have that kind of, like I said to you, I think before the interview started, I'd much rather people be talking about us than not. And it's nice to know that people are right now, and they, whether they mention us in the right way or wrong way, they're talking about us, and that's a good thing.
Well, I talk about you, I champion you, because I think you're magnificent. Another guy that we've got to give a mention to before you go is Craig, Ace Face Barber, because through Craig, that's the first time that we met up at the Hare and Hounds when he put you on with the Spitfires.
Right, the best hairdresser in the world, that lad.
Yeah, he is. Our Jack goes there as well, having his hair done, funnily enough.
Yeah, I know Craig's going to be along on the 18th. He's been a really good supporter of the band for years now, and obviously, it's people like Craig that sort of make the musical world go round, in my estimation, because they and people like yourselves who do this radio show, and like Scott, who I went and did an interview with a few weeks back. I know you really enjoyed that show. Brilliant. It's like people who actually take the time out of their day to do something because they love it, and that's why. And I think that shows through with our band as well. That there's no sort of crap involved there. We genuinely do this because we love it, and I think it shows with people who do either radio shows or promote or have any kind of impact musically on the world. You've got to do it because you love it, and Craig's a big example of that for me, really.
Top man, absolutely. And going back to that interview on Stomp Radio, because what I like to do on SRB is open up to the whole of the radio family and share the love of all the music. I see us all as one big team, helping each other and promoting great music. And also that buy Scott's t-shirts, guys out there. Stomp Radio, buy his t-shirts. He gets annoyed, don't he?
Oh, it's unbelievable, mate, to tell you. He practically forced me to have one when I left that place.
But you played some great music on his show. My Staple Sisters, Staple Singers, Otis Redding, Johnny Taylor, Parliament, Vernon Garrett, The Undisputed Truth. The list of records that you played, my bottom jaw was just dropping because it was just fantastic. And I didn't realise that you come really pretty much from a hip-hop background, don't you?
Yeah, I think me and my mate Chad, when we were growing up, we really got into that whole hip-hop scene, right down to I used to go to Oasis in Brum. I don't know whether, is it still there now?
Probably not. Yeah, probably not.
Used to go to Oasis in Brum, and I think on the second floor down, they had all old Raiders jackets and bloody leather wallets that were shaped like gun holsters and all this. I was really into all this mental sort of fashion that was around at the time, with the big flaps on the trainers and all that kind of thing. We're properly into things like, Tribe Called Quest, Jungle Brothers, Public Enemy, NWA, all that sort of stuff. I was massively influenced by that, and it doesn't take long to you kind of start thinking, well, where the hell have they got that little clip from, or where's that sample come from? And then you start falling in love with funk, soul, R&B. You get into the proper nuts and bolts of it then, and you hear the sort of the origins of it all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and them origins all go down pretty much to the deep south in America, don't it?
Yeah,
You know?
it's a massive arrows point that way.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's just that sort of sound that comes over the Atlantic, and it's kind of exotic, and it's kind of almost tribal in a way, and it makes you think, I want to be there. And sure enough, I remember the first time I went to Memphis, and you stepped off the plane at the airport, and you could almost feel the music in the air. It's a really kind of weird, surreal thing, you know what I mean? Yeah. But you know that you're somewhere special.
And amazing to think that this journey that's took you to the brink of cracking it onto the next level, into the big time, started with you and Chad and a guitar that he brought from Argus.
Yeah. It is, man. I saved up a lot of money for that guitar, I tell you. And it was horrible as well. It was like a proper black sort of heavy metal looking thing. But it was the only electric one that they did. So it was like, right, I'm having that. I'm going to try and learn how to play. He sort of G'd me on. I G'd him on. And then at some stage, I guess, it turned from like a little bug to something that I just literally couldn't shake, and I thought, right, this is me now, and I guess like it's either in you or it isn't, and I think I can safely speak for Shees as well in that, you know, I can't honestly ever see us while there's breath in our bodies doing anything different. Do you know what I mean? Because you either do it or you don't, and
you're born to do it. And I gotta say as well, Shees has to be the coolest bass guitarist on the planet as well. I love his hat. I love his hat. He's just so cool, isn't he?
He's still desperate to get a hat sponsorship, you know. So if you know anyone, let them know.
I can't believe that people don't sponsor his hat, because it is just part of the Stone Foundation, isn't it?
Yeah. It's something that he's grown to love over the years. It's definitely sort of symbolises him, yeah.
And Live Rituals does come out on the 13th of October, which is 5 days short of your gig in Birmingham. And all the information, guys, that you need from Stone Foundation, it's all the w's.stonefoundation.co.uk. Check them out. They're the greatest band on the planet. And people often say to me, Gabby, how come you say that and not Paul Weller? Paul Weller's a solo artist with a band. He's not a band. That's how I get around it. Double bubble, mate.
Aye.
Right, can I thank you so much for your time?
Yeah, thanks for
Neil.
having me on, mate. It's been always a pleasure to speak to you, and I look forward to seeing you all on the 18th at the front, mate. I want you down at the front.
Well, I'll be down the front. I had a bit of an alert the other day because my missus puts all my stuff away, and I said to her, where have you put the Stone Foundation ticket? And she had a look of horror on her face. And I thought, if you've put them in the bin, thankfully in Birmingham, our bins ain't been moved for weeks, so I would have still got it, but it would have been a smelly ticket from Stone Foundation. As it happened, she put it up in a nice place, so I've still got it in pristine condition. Cheers, Mucker. All the best, and we'll see you soon. Thanks. Cheers, Neil. Bye-bye now. Bye. Yo, how you doing?